Have you ever looked at parts of your life and felt like they were just in ruins, and you have no idea where to even begin rebuilding? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a pretty fascinating model for restoration that comes from an ancient story. We're going to see how one leader's request to a king gives us this powerful step-by-step framework for healing that is, believe it or not, incredibly relevant today.
All right, let's get into it. We're going to explore 6 core ideas from what we're calling the Nehemiah model. First up, the initial restoration request. Then, we'll talk about what it really means to get permission to visit the ruins of our past. From there, we'll dive into our ancestral narrative, learn the art of asking for what we need, and figure out how to internalize our own authority. And finally, we'll lay out the path to actually rebuilding. So, our whole journey starts with this one single verse. It's the foundation for this entire model. And on the surface, it seems pretty simple, but wow, is it packed with psychological depth.
Now, this ancient plea is kind of a perfect metaphor for the modern therapy process. I mean, at first glance, it just looks like Nehemiah is asking for some time off to go on a trip. But if you look closer, hidden in these words is this incredible blueprint for how we can ask for the space we need to heal.
So you've got this amazing contrast. On one level, sure, it's a simple travel request, permission to go to a physical place. But on a much deeper level, it's a request to go back to the source of the damage, the ruins, with a very clear purpose: restoration. It's about getting the green light to face what's broken so you can finally make it whole again.
Okay, let's keep going and see how this builds into the very first practical step, getting the permission we all need to safely face our past.
This right here, this is the fundamental question that so many of us carry inside, even if we don't say it in these exact words. Can I go back? Can I revisit my family history? Can I finally face a past trauma? Or just understand where my pain comes from? It's all driven by this deep hope that we can rebuild whatever was damaged. And this is where the idea of a king's court comes in. A healthy therapeutic relationship creates this safe space. It becomes this secure environment where you finally get the emotional permission you need to go back and deal with that unfinished business, knowing you're not going to get lost in it. It's the container you need to do the hard work.
Now, let's look a little closer at the exact words Nehemiah uses, because it tells us something really profound about where our own ruins are often located.
You see that? This detail is absolutely key. He's not just going back to some random location. He's going back to his roots, his legacy, his very identity. It shows us how our personal healing is so often tangled up with our family systems, the beliefs we inherited, and the emotional history of everyone who came before us. And when we talk about rebuilding, this is often what we're really talking about, isn't it? We're trying to reconstruct our relationship with our parents, or re-examine our childhood with fresh eyes. We're trying to break those generational patterns that keep showing up and heal the attachment wounds that affect how we connect with people today. Okay, so we know what we need to rebuild, but how in the world do we ask for the space to do it? Let's break down Nehemiah's communication style, because honestly, it's a masterclass on how to make a bold, life-changing request. This is so critical. He's asking for something huge, right? But his approach isn't demanding, and it's not timid either. It's strategic. He is regulated, clear, and focused, even when the stakes are high. This is a model for how we can handle those huge, crucial conversations in our own lives, whether it's with a boss, a partner, or a parent. And if you break it down, you see all the pieces of really secure, healthy communication. He starts with respect, if it pleases the king, but then bam, he states his goal with crystal clarity, so that I can rebuild it. There's no waffling. This mix of being respectful but also goal-oriented and grounded, that's the exact balance we're all aiming for when we try to set boundaries in our own complicated relationships. This brings us to a really crucial symbolic shift in this model. Who exactly is the king that we're asking for permission from?
So in our lives, the king can be a literal boss or a parent, sure, but it can also be that inner critic in your head or some kind of systemic pressure you feel. So many of us are subconsciously just waiting for some external authority to finally give us permission to grieve, to set a boundary, or to change our lives.
And that's the real endgame of this journey, to internalize the king. We learn to become our own benevolent authority, granting ourselves the permission we used to look for everywhere else. We stop waiting for someone else's approval, and we start authorizing our own restoration projects.
Okay, so let's put all of these pieces together. The Nehemiah model doesn't just diagnose the problem, it gives us a clear, really hopeful sequence for the entire restoration process.
This sequence is just so powerful because it honors the whole emotional journey. I mean, look where it begins, with awareness. In the original story, Nehemiah wept over the ruins first. He didn't just jump into making a plan. That's the key. You have to start by processing the pain before you can move to strategic planning and finally to the actual rebuilding. It maps the path from pain to purpose.
And this right here is the profound mental shift that has to happen. So often, we come into this work feeling ashamed of our ruins, but this model reframes those ruins as the actual blueprints for our future. You have to be able to look at the broken foundation clearly to know how to rebuild it stronger. You simply cannot rebuild what you refuse to name.
Ultimately, this is the goal. The whole point of this process is to move out of reactive chaos and into a place of clarity. It's about rebuilding your life with a solid plan, not just running around patching up holes as they appear.
So, as we wrap this up, I'll leave you with this question to think about. By using this model, we can start to see the most broken areas of our lives not as places of shame, but as opportunities for the most meaningful kind of reconstruction. So, what ruins in your life are just waiting to become blueprints?